Of course she uses belladonna in her eyes. They're much too brilliant to be natural.
With a doctor for a husband, one can learn anything about drugs.
She wouldn't stop at anything which helps to fascinate men. Oh, it's my game.
J. Thorne had no business marrying the second time. We got along so nicely with dear departed Anne. She never aroused antagonism.
Anne was so sweet.
Anne was so sensible. She knew a doctor had to make professional visits to other women, but this Mrs. Thorne won't let him out of her sight.
Not only that, Cynthia, she only stopped at holding on to her own husband, but she annexes every other husband she can get.
You can just see them lick sugar from her hand.
Now you've said it, Nell. That's just the attitude Philip took the other evening when he shook hands with her at Mrs. Hale's dinner. Didn't I lecture him afterwards, though? You have no business, I said, showing deference like that to any other woman but me, I said. I'm your wife, I said. I come first, I said.
Oh, I laid down the law to Russell, too. He wouldn't talk to me for 3 days. Said I was jealous. Said he was paying me back for monopolizing the doctor away from poor dear Anne when she was alive. Said he was jolly well glad I knew now how he used to feel when the doctor monopolized me.
Oh, did Dr. Thorne come to visit you often, Jessica? I don't see how he could have had the time. We kept him so busy at our house, with all the children needing him constantly.
And Dr. Thorne called on me every day after my serious operation. I used to say to him, you saved my life. And he thanked me for living.
Now, don't start about your operation.
But none of you have had such an operation. Why, I have gone down into the medical books as a unique case.
Dear Anne never flaunted gold bags or Russian sables. This Mrs. Thorne is living evidence of the outrageous fees we have to pay.
I make it no trump.
Every time she has a new gown, I know we paid for it.
I pass.
And Edwin says she's deuced right to make the best of her looks. But if I buy a new gown, I have to pay it out of my own checkbook.
I made it no trump.
Did you say no trump? And I play first. Well, there.
Now for dummy. She's most inconsiderate not to come on time.
Why did you invite her at all?
If you don't invite her, then you may need another operation, and she can keep the doctor from performing it.
The cat!
If we ask her to little affairs like this, then we can afford to leave her out of the social events that count. The doctor hates them anyway and never comes. Why should we take her in? Who's she anyway?
He just picked her up in Florida. She might be the worst kind of adventures.
Ooh, I've a juicy bit to tell. It makes me lick my lips.
You tell us.
Isn't it fun to discuss her? Everybody does.
Mrs. Twombly thought it was very pretentious for Mrs. Thorne to have a box at the opera and decided she would cut her outright.
Ooh, I heard the tale.
You didn't tell me.
On opening night, Mrs. Thorne.
Oh, you tell it.
No, you started it.
On opening night, in comes Mrs. Thorne, much bedecked, enters her box next to Mrs. Twombly, and Mrs. Twombly, in full view of the house, turns away her head.
Oh, I should have died of mortification.
Not Mrs. Thorne.
No, Mrs. Thorne leans over to her husband, and in a whisper, loud enough for everybody to hear, she asks him sweetly, "Jay, dear, am I mistaken, but isn't that the Mrs. Twombly you operated on for a floating kidney?"
Oh, she didn't say that.
She certainly did.
Wasn't Mrs. Twombly furious?
The worst of it is, it didn't stop there. The story is going the rounds. A guest in Mrs. Twombly's box repeated the story to someone else and called the floating kidney a swimming gizzard.
And now I suppose Mrs. Twombly doesn't dare cut her again.
My dear, people are beginning to realize that Mrs. Thorne is far too dangerous to cut.
Maid told me to come in.
Oh, Mrs. Thorne.
Sorry, I'm late. I was detained at luncheon with Mrs. Paul Stafford.
Luncheon with Mrs. Paul Stafford.
We played a few rounds while waiting. You know Mrs. Martingay and Mrs. Puff?
Yes, indeed.
How do you do?
I remember that Mrs. Martingay has a very charming husband.
You did pay a lot of attention to him.
An attractive man is always a living compliment to his wife, and the charm she must have had to win him.
Shall we play?
May I take off my coat?
Oh, how negligent of me.
It was warm. Your home is so rightly tempered, Mrs. Russell.
I'm glad you've shown us the coat. We've heard so much about it.
I have a cousin in Canada who can send me furs quite inexpensively. I wouldn't dream of causing my husband too much expense. That's what people are accusing me of. Would you mind putting them right about it?
They say you are rather clever at telling stories.
You mean you don't believe me? I thought you were a better judge of human nature than that.
Shall we play?
Will you take Dummy's seat, Mrs. Thorne?
Thank you, no. I will let you finish your game.
Let us finish the hand quickly, then.
The game's yours now.
Now, Mrs. Thorne.
Oh, what a marvelous gold mesh. How many operations does it represent?
May I open it?
It was given me by Mr. Crawford in gratitude for my husband's cure of him.
How nice of the men to pay you instead of your husband.
I spilled some pills out of your bag.
Oh, what a violent purple.
I must mend the catch on my bonbon box. Will you have one, Mrs. Martingay? They sweeten
No.
tongues.
Thank you. They look more like poison.
I never saw pills that color.
Are they medicine for some serious malady of yours?
They are cacioamphibergamus.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Oh,
Nor to me.
there's something new that my husband is experimenting on. He guards them very carefully. In fact, I'm not supposed to have any. I daren't take many at a time, just one at intervals, so it couldn't be noticed.
I wager they're poison for enemies.
They are!
You have a sense of humor, Mrs. Thorne.
You doubt me? Take one.
Even if I didn't believe you, I'm not willing to run the risk.
No, thank you. I'd rather be safe.
I wouldn't take it on trust.
Try one yourself?
I suppose you think it's eccentric, criminal, or dangerous for me to be carrying cacioamphibergamus in my purse?
Oh, I don't believe it. I'll take one.
Oh,
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Puff. I'm not saving them for you.
You scared me.
the law ought to look into that, Mrs. Thorne.
Ought to be reported to your husband.
Oh, that is just what we shall have to do.
Let's go on with the game. I don't want notoriety.
Very well, I don't. I bid 2 hearts.
2 spades.
1 diamond.
3 hearts.
I am very fond of hearts.
Oh, it sounds reckless to me, but if you think you can.
Hearts again. What do you say, Mrs. Martingay? Do you overbid me in hearts?
No, but you do have to be a good player to make them.
We'll see.
Shall I play?
My hand down.
You haven't given me much help, have you?
I as much told you were risking a lot on hearts.
Perhaps, but I would rather lose in hearts than never do my utmost to win them.
Oh, yes. They say you win men's hearts quite easily.
There! That is just enough! I've said these slurs as long as I could. It is the end.
Thorne.
Mrs. Thorne.
To this city, a stranger brought by a doctor you all like and respect. You should have honored his love for me. Instead, you hated and hurt me. It has grieved him to see the fight I have had to make for even decent recognition.
Oh, Mrs. Thorne.
He wants to go away. Give up his big practice here. Start someplace else for my sake. But I love him so much that I would rather die than hinder him. The greatest gift I can give him is to take this short way out.
She swallowed them.
Oh,
Mr. Thorne!
I stood it as long as I could. I don't want to live anymore.
You can't die in my house.
But I want to die in your house. It will pay you back for the way you robbed me of my character at the Chestons. They told me.
I swear, I never.
In heaven's name, Jessica, don't argue. She'll pass out in the midst of it. You better call a doctor or the police.
No, keep it out of the papers. You haven't any right to die in my house.
You're a doctor's wife. Tell us what to do.
Mary, run for the nearest doctor.
Oh, there's a first aid. What does it say about poison? Bandages, bruises, hanging. No, that's suicide. No, not that. Here it is. Poison. Oh, poison ivy.
Oh, not agitate yourself. I have contemplated this too long to have regrets. There is no saving me now.
Drink, drink.
Force it down her.
We can't let her die.
What does it matter to you if I die? You wouldn't let me live.
Oh, but no one knew you loved him like that.
You seem so interested in other men.
You thought men were attracted to me because I wanted them to be? I don't try to win them. I have tried to win you women, and that I could not do. It is not poison that is killing me. It is your hatred.
I implored you to do something to save yourself.
Why doesn't Mary come with the doctor?
There are no more pills for evidence, and they cannot be traced. An autopsy? If you will help me back to the card table, you can call it heart failure.
Oh, it tears me to pieces to hear you talk that way.
Dreadful of you to mind so much what we've said. No one really meant anything by it. No one wants you to die.
I've been a dog the way I've treated you, but I was jealous, and the way you fought and wouldn't let yourself be down. None of us knew about your family or your past, or we don't yet.
When Dr. Thorne met me, I was resting. After a long season in stock, I was an actress for 10 years. Air! Oh, it's very close.
Oh, you must drink. If you take it and forgive us and live, we'll make up 1,000 times for the harm we've done.
You mean that? If I thought you cared, I'd take it.
Take it! Take it!
Late.
If I'd have known your life depended upon us, I would have done a lot of nice things for you.
All of our lives depend upon one another.
Please drink this. If you'll only live, we'll be your closest friends forever.
You promise that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Then I'll take some.
More than that.
all of it!
Oh! You left me intoxicated. No, I cannot go that far. Oh! The pills are not poison. They are throat tablets.
Mrs. Thorne, you have presumed too far!
How dare you make fools of us?
It's an insult in my own house!
Only severe dealings would bring you to terms. I had no idea of setting this scene when I entered the room. Your antagonism met me at the door. And Mrs. Martingay gave me the cue when she called the pills poison. I've not been an actress without learning something of the value of suggestion, and I've fed your minds point by point until you believed that these simple tablets under the fictitious name of Cochium and Thibbergamus could be fatal.
I've never been so furious in all my life!
Remember, it was your own malice that set your trap.
After this, Mrs. Thorne, we'll make life harder than ever. Perhaps next time you'll take real risk.
No, Mrs. Russell. I've enjoyed my life too much to bargain it for you. My husband enjoys it immensely when I relate my adventures, and will relish this one particularly.
We'll never call your husband in again. It will be so funny when he loses patience.
I call your method losing hearts.
Oh.
No, Mrs. Martingay, I am winning them. You have all proved today that you have hearts, that you wouldn't want everyone to feel as unhappy as you thought that I was. You see, Mrs. Pup, you have shown me for the first time your true selves, and it has made me more than ever anxious to be your friends. Do forgive me, Mrs. Russell, for my trick against you. Let it cancel out your tricks against me. Let's start over with an equal deal and play fair. All of us have better hearts than we show. Let's play them out.